Umatilla, and Walla Walla peoples, and I pay my respects to elders, both past and present. So hi, Waka. I appreciate you all so much. It feels so affirming to gather together with you, the people who care so deeply about our kids in the state. And each year I have watched dedicated and passionate colleagues receive this award, and I'm deeply honored to be included amongst these people that I have really held in such high esteem. And I want to thank my family for being here tonight. We really did move mountains to make it happen. My mom literally turned around from going to California to come back here to bring my children here today. And my aunt also was watching my children so that I could be at this conference. So I just really want to appreciate them, and I want to introduce them to you. So listen, family, please stand up when I say your name. So my mom, Bonnie, stand up. She exemplifies love in action, and she has supported and believed in me and loved me every step of the way and worked so hard to help me succeed. Single mom. She's now also kind of like my co-parent, and I love watching her share her love with my children. And my aunt, thank you, Mom. My aunt, Christy Lewis, stand up. She is a whirlwind of passion and energy, and her dedication to social justice, she's a UU, has helped inspire me in that area, and she has helped me so much as we raise these kids, because it truly does take a village. And finally, my three amazing children, stand up, Edison, Charlotte, Reed. People in my life. You make me want to be a better mom and a better person every single day. You remind me how important mentoring young people is and how critical it is to create schools in which everyone is valued. And I'm working hard to make Shorecrest High School the best high school in the state by the time you get there. Edison will start in 2023. And your love gives me wings, and I love you incredibly much, and I hope you always know that, guys. Thank you so much, Waka, for welcoming my family here today to celebrate this honor. I'm not done, sorry. I've been incredibly fortunate to have mentors and colleagues that have inspired me, shared resources, supported and pushed me in my profession over the years. So shout out to Cammie Caldwell. Yeah. She actually was my leadership teacher at Cascade High School, and now I'm lucky enough to call her a trusted friend and colleague. So my senior year of high school, I lost the election for class president, but she took me to leadership camp anyway. And I found my niche there in student leadership in my senior year. So I'm really glad that she believed in me enough to invest in me with that spot of camp. And look at me now. So also to Roberta Hasted from Cascade, who mentored me in my first year as activity coordinator, and she actually did my maternity leave from me when the Reed was born. Big shout out to Wesco, who's really just like not here, but I know there's a couple, there's like 5 of us, maybe 7, because of all of our travel restrictions, and I just have some really amazing colleagues I get to work with. They're just not here. But much love especially to Jamie Johnson at Monroe, who has been my professional thought partner, work wife, and support for years, and who's always sought to push to make everything better that we do on behalf of kids. So thank you so much, Jamie. So there are so many of you along the way that fill my cup and inspire me, show me new perspectives, challenge my thinking. Shout out to John Norland, who in 2011 invited my school to service, which was at Sumner High School that year, and he gave me a flash drive with all this stuff. So different now. But the ideas of servant leadership have fundamentally changed myself, personally, our leadership program in my school in incredibly positive ways. Much love to the AWSL staff who partner with each of us in this work, and especially to my home slice, James Lehman. Where are you? Right there. So he's my late night messenger, Facebook Messenger check-in buddy, so I always appreciate that. To Brandon and Coley for always being ready with hugs and high fives, even in the era of coronavirus. And the AWSL Equity Buddies, those of you that help launch the work. So Lay and Christy and Kevin, so shout out to you guys. It was so cool that when Leigh and I pitched the need to rethink student leadership with an equity mindset, Susan Fortin was 100% on board. And like that's really, really big. I'm willing to put the time and resources into it. So I'm hopeful the work continues through AWS, our camp staffs in here at WACA. So I'm sorry, I just have a lot to say. Like you, perhaps I often tell people that I have the best job in the world. I get to help my students set the tone and carry the culture of our school. We impact lives every single day by creating a school in which each person feels valued and acknowledged, seen, and recognized. So I love that our conferences are more about social emotional growth than about planning the coolest dance or assembly. And that's great too, because in my district we're pretty much canceling all events. So, you know, it's the little things that make the big difference. I want to challenge us to do better here though, actually, by specifically calling out institutional and structural racism as a huge barrier for many of our students of color to feeling safe and valued in our schools. So as Americans, we've been socialized into maintaining these structures and systems that benefit whites and exclude people of color from power and opportunities. None of us chose this, we were born into it. And American education is an education in whiteness. So as a white person, I couldn't even see that for the longest time because it felt to me like I didn't even have a culture. I couldn't even see it because it was so pervasive and dominant. Something that's all around that's invisible, kind of like fish in water. And I was taught that I had earned everything I had achieved through my hard work alone, and to not notice how race, though it is a social construct, plays a significant and real factor in shaping every aspect of my life. Race is a dominant predictor of outcome for success or failure in education in our society, and in Washington State, graduation rates for Asian students are 90%, whites 83%. But for Black and African American students, it's 73%, Indigenous students it's 60%, Latinx students 75%, and Hawaiian and Pac Islanders 74%, and I just really want to ask, why are we not more upset about this? So as activity coordinators, we know that our job is to create a culture for learning and acceptance, and we know that students who are connected to an activity or extracurricular at school have better attendance, and they're more likely to graduate. Yet if your school is anything like mine, we do have an activity gap, and the students most involved and most benefiting from our activities are students who are already connected. So if we really want to harness the power of activities to impact students' lives, we really do need to rethink our activity programs, events, projects, officer positions, classes, all of it, to make sure we're really doing the work on behalf of the students who need this the most. So make no mistake, I'm not going to judge you. We are all on a journey in this regard, shout out to Joe. And I make no claim to be better than anyone else, and I don't view my work with students of color as saving anyone. I am not Michelle Pfeiffer, this is that dangerous man. I am here to empower students to create a climate in which all students are recognized and valued, and to put on events and projects that truly reflect the needs of students. And to say we work on meeting students' needs for safety and acceptance without ever explicitly talking about or recognizing the role of race on our campuses is a huge disservice to the day-to-day experiences of our students of color. So as a white woman educator, I cannot pretend to know the mind of a freshman boy of color or even a 17-year-old suburban white girl, as I have many years removed even from that experience. So that is why it's imperative for us to listen to students and empower them, not to act with paternalism or invalidate their experiences or needs. I also cannot pretend that every student needs the same thing. So when I look at the data in my program and see that out of my 40 ASB officers, not one of them is a Latinx student, even though at our school we're 11% Latinx, then I need to rethink how I personally work with and support that population of students in my school so that they can begin to see that ASB is relevant, possible, positive, and worthwhile for them to be a part of. So this is not easy work, and it's 100% uncomfortable. As white educators, we literally don't have the skills or words to have these conversations because we've been taught to avoid them. So I hear white friends say that they don't see race, they just see humans, and that they're colorblind. But that mindset is incredibly hurtful, and it denies the experiences, good and bad, of people of color in this country that are so often shaped by race. In the white community, we have code names in order that we can talk about race without naming it. Like, what do we really mean when we say a sketchy neighborhood or a bad school? Because I actually think we're talking about race. So as a white woman, I often worry that I'm not the right person to do this work. I may say the wrong thing, I might mess up, but who am I not to do this work? And if I decide that I'm uncomfortable doing it or I'm not the right person, then actually I'm creating an excuse to not do it. And I'm also laying it all on my colleagues of color. And looking around the room, let's be honest, we as a group do not reflect the diversity of our students. So white educators, We have to be part of the work in order for it to be successful, and we have to educate ourselves and do better every day. Each one of us here values our students so much, and I hope that is enough to push each of us to begin to educate ourselves about the role of race in education, to examine our activities, programs, and leadership classes with an equity mindset, and to use our position of power in our buildings to affect positive change and continue to move towards a school climate in which all students are valued and accepted for who they are, and no student has to endure microaggressions or prejudice at school. We are each on a journey of recognizing the systems that create unequal outcomes in our society due to race. And I don't have it figured out, and I don't expect you to have it figured out either, but I do hope that we are walking this journey together and moving our activities, programs forward to truly benefit all students. Thank you so much for listening.